Citizens Bank Park in Philadelphia, and what a night. The big crowd has gathered, and it's the rubber match of the series between the Braves and the Phillies. The Phillies who won it all last year, the pennant, and then the World Series, the whole thing. And they are in control of the National League East so far this year, leading Atlanta by 7. Florida won its game earlier, 7.5 out. So the Braves are very distantly in second place in the National League East. And perhaps the best race for them is the National League wild card. The Giants finished a sweep with the Rockies today in San Francisco. They are tied for first, and Atlanta 2 back in the loss column and just barely ahead of Florida as well. Hello, everyone. I'm John Miller with Hall of Famer Joe Morgan and Steve Phillips, and welcome to Sunday Night Baseball. The Phillies are not only the defending champions, but they're playing great baseball again this year. They're way ahead of the Braves, as we saw, and everybody else in the East for that matter. And Joe, they can give you problems with their speed. They can give you problems with their defense because it's stellar. And of course, maybe you heard, they hit the long ball, and they hit it a lot, led by big Ryan Howard.
Well, John, the Phillies have a chance to do something that hasn't been done in the National League in 33 years. That's be the defending champions. The last time was 1976, the Cincinnati Reds. But the reasons they have a chance of doing all these things, they lead the league in home runs, they lead the league in runs scored, they play great defense, they can steal a base every once in a while. But the biggest reason, and they're calling him the big piece, that's Ryan Howard. Ryan Howard, in his last 16 ball games, he has 11 home runs, he's driven in 29 runs, and he's hitting .333. And guess what? Against the East, he's even better. He had 19 home runs and 46 runs batted in against their pursuers. So this guy is definitely a difference maker, John, and that's the reason I think they can replete as National League champions.
All right, so we expect him to hit at least a couple of home runs tonight. Then.
Well, one, I'm gonna go for one tonight.
You've been hitting them against everybody else. We need a couple on Sunday Night Baseball. Now the Braves, as we saw, are just on the periphery of the wild card race, and they would be 8 games out in the East if they lose this game tonight. So Steve, in a game they need to win, they always like their chances when young Jair Jurgens is on the mound. He's going tonight.
Well, that's right. Not so fast on those home runs, Joe, because Jair Jurgens on the mound is a guy who's very stingy with the long ball. This year, a 10-8 record, a 2.91 earned run average. Managers will tell you they want quality and predictability out of their starting pitchers, and that's what Jair Jurgens has given Bobby Cox and the Atlanta Braves so far this year. In 20 of his 27 starts, he's limited the opposition to 2 earned runs or less, so he is awfully tough to score on. He makes his big pitches with runners in scoring position, shutting down the opposition. So far this year against the Philadelphia Phillies, he's 2-0 with an ERA under 2. He has really been able to limit Ryan Howard and Chase Utley, and he's given up only 1 home run against this potent Phillies offense. The Braves need a win tonight to stay in that division race for the wild card, and Jair Jurgens on the mound is the guy they need.
So here we go, the rubber match. You see Jurgens will be on the mound. Joe Blatton is all warmed up, heading in for the bullpen, and he'll be throwing the night's first pitch in this big ball game when we return to Philadelphia right after this.
PHI One-A-Day Men's, the official multivitamin of MLB, specially formulated for men. Ford Taurus, we speak car. We speak the all-new Ford Taurus. And Carfax.
The Atlanta Braves getting ready to bat here in the first inning at Citizens Bank Park in Philadelphia. There's the venerable manager of the Braves, his 24th season at the helm, Bobby Cox. 14 division titles, which were won in 14 consecutive seasons, and 5 National League pennants. Here's the Braves batting order turned in by Bobby Cox, presented by Taco Bell. Matt Diaz, red hot. 329 for the season in right field. Martin Prado at second base. Chipper Jones at third base. Brian McCann is the catcher. Garrett Anderson in left field. Anderson had a big home run last night. Almost everybody had a home run last night for the Braves. Yunel Escobar at shortstop. Adam LaRoche has been a great addition or return to the Braves after they acquired him from the Red Sox. Reed Gorecki getting the start in center field, with Ryan Church having to be scratched, and Jair Jurgens is the pitcher, batting ninth, all up against the veteran right-hander Joe Blanton. And Blanton has pitched well since the 1st of July, the last couple of months, only a 2.24 ERA. And he's I guess what you would call a middle of the rotation guy. He gives you a lot of innings.
Well, he's predictable. He gives you some depth. He's leading the Philadelphia Phillies starting staff in innings pitched. Also in quality starts. He's rattled off 9 quality starts in a row. That's a start with 6 or more innings and 3 or less earned runs given up.
Diaz leads off and takes a fastball for a called strike.
And the Braves have really played well since Diaz has been moved to the leadoff spot, John. He's close to 500. Bobby Cox said he didn't really know how it was going to work out, but he wanted to experiment, and it's working.
Nice catch by Jimmy Rollins.
You know, Rollins is one of the best defensive shortstops in all of Major League Baseball. In fact, he's working on a 75-game errorless streak. And this is just an excellent read off the bat. And he went and cut it off. See, he has to, at some point, you have to decide where to cut that ball off. You can't just go angling out toward the outfield. You see he ends up cutting across and making a nice play.
So Diaz robbed of a hit, and here is Martin Prado. And a slider in the dirt for ball 1.
You saw Jimmy Rollins make that play. Well, he's one of those unique infielders. Most infielders have some movement as the pitch is coming to the plate. Jimmy Rollins doesn't. He's stationary out there, almost like he's ready to steal a base. And then as the ball comes off the bat, he'll react and push off, but he doesn't have that sort of movement as the pitch comes into the plate. Most infielders will, as the pitcher's getting ready, will move a little bit.
Fastball on the outside corner for a strike.
Joe, you moved, right? As you see, look at Jimmy Rollins not moving at all. He's just stationary, crosses over, dives, makes the play, still has great range, but somewhat unconventional in the way that he goes about it.
2-1 the count to Prado. Chipper Jones on deck.
Well, errors in the last 75 games, so he's doing something right. But Joe, you typically, most infielders have some movement.
Well, I think he's not stationary as it looks, because he has to have something to start his momentum. You know, you can either be roll on your heels or whatever. He doesn't move physically like where we can see it, but you can't go from a flat-footed stance, I don't believe.
That ball is hit deep into left field, and that ball is on its way out of here. Home run for Martin Prado. So Prado, with his 9th home run of the year, and Atlanta, which was hitting a lot of home runs here last night, does it again and has a 1-0 lead here in the first inning.
John, I think they've also showed that they do have some power. They're not one of the top power teams, but they do have power. And they've got some guys who can hit it. You see this fastball on the inside part of the plate. It just reacts to it. You can see he didn't open his hips. He just reacted to the ball inside with his hands, and he drives it out of this ballpark. But if you hit it well, you get it in the air here, it has a good chance of going out.
Strike 1 to Chipper Jones. Well, last night they hit 4 home runs, and Chipper Jones hit the 4th of those in that ball game, and they were, I'm sure, happy to see it, because Chipper had not been getting many hits of any kind, much less home runs lately. Look at that. Even with his 1 hit last night, the home run, 4 hits in his last 44 at bats. And that one is too low. The count 2-1.
But I think the thing that bothers him more than anything else is that his lack of power of driving the ball lately. Even though he hit a home run last night, he just has not been driving the ball. And I talked to him about that. And basically, last year, he had the sore shoulder and he was going for a batting title, so he was content just to get base hits and do the best he could with the sore shoulder. And he hasn't been able to get back in the groove.
That one just misses around the inside corner, right around the knees, and the count goes to 3-2.
Because he says physically he feels better right now than he has for a long period of time. And he's looking to get hot in September.
Well, he gets a walk this time after the home run by Prado. So with a run in, one man out, there's a runner over at first, and Brian McCann coming up.
And we talked about the Phillies having a good defense. Well, Ibanez plays well in the outfield. Victorino, a Gold Glove winner. Jason Worth, to me, is the most underrated player on this ball club. Rollins, of course, a Gold Glove winner. And Felice is one of the better third basemen in all of baseball. Utley has improved a lot, and Carlos Ruiz behind the plate.
A called strike to Brian McCann. McCann hitting .286, 17 home runs, 72 runs batted in. He's hit 5 home runs in his last 12 games. And that's too high. 1 ball, 1 strike.
The thing we've seen about this Braves offense is they've been streaky. A couple weeks ago we were doing a Braves game and Brian McCann was tired. They were talking about that he looks like he was swinging underwater. His bat was slow through the zone, but he's caught his second wind a little bit. Matt Diaz, we talk about how hot he is right now. Martin Prado has been hot as well. The one guy who hasn't been that hot is Chipper Jones, the guy who's typically carried this Braves offense at times.
Chipper has been the man for a long, long time in Atlanta, and he, oddly enough, he has missed fewer games than any other Braves player this year due to injuries. McCann skies one into fairly shallow right field. Jason Worth takes it, and that is out number 2. Chipper will go back to first. Chipper has never hit fewer than 21 home runs in a major league season. He's got 16. But ordinarily you'd say, well, he'll pass that easily. But the home runs have not been coming very often.
And Johnny, he's had 14 consecutive years where he's hit 20 home runs. So he's trying to add to that.
Here's Garrett Anderson. He homered here last night. That is very high for ball 1. Now, one thing the Braves have in their favor, Joe Blanton has suffered against the Braves this year. He's started 4 previous times against Atlanta this year with a 6.38 earned run average. As that off-speed delivery is bounced foul, and the count 1 ball and 1 strike. He's 0-1 with a 6.38 ERA. The Braves pounded him a couple of times very early this year. They're hitting better than 300 against him. But against all comers since the 1st of July, as we mentioned, his ERA 2.24. That's the Blanton the Phillies are hoping to see tonight. A little bit low with a fastball. 2-1 the count.
Since July 1st, Joe Blanton's really kind of changed his approach. Those 9 quality starts in a row. He's really gone more to the off-speed pitches, the curveball, the slider, the changeup. Last start out only about 37% fastballs.
Slider stayed off the outside. 3-1. Ruiz caught it, tried to yank it quickly right on the edge of the strike zone there, but the plate umpire was not buying it. 3-1 the count. And a changeup running down and away. A check swing. The appeal denied by third base umpire and crew chief Randy Marsh. So that's the second walk of the inning allowed by Blanton. Chipper Jones will move over to second.
That's why Garrett Anderson is such a good hitter, John. They stayed away, didn't want to throw him any fastballs in the hitting zone, but he threw him 2 pitches that looked like fastballs in the zone, but they were changeups and moved out, and Garrett Anderson laid off them. And when they do throw him in a fastball in the hitting zone, he attacks it. So he's become an excellent hitter.
A run is in on the home run by Prado. 2 men on, 2 men out. And Yunel Escobar, who since the All-Star break was one of the Braves' hottest hitters, right after the break when they actually got their season turned around in a big way, Escobar was leading the way.
Well, he's hitting .400 with runners in scoring position, so
So still hitting 400.
Yeah, still hitting 400.
I thought he would have cooled off by now.
Well, he was hitting 420. He cooled off a little bit right there.
Jimmy Rollins juggled it, got it, and then made the acrobatic play to get the runner at second. Garrett Anderson, and the inning is over. Jimmy Rollins showing a lot of range, getting to that one. 1 run for Atlanta. Now Jair Jurgens to face Howard and the Phillies. The Phillies batting order presented by Taco Bell. It'll be Rollins in the familiar leadoff spot at shortstop. Victorino, a guy who can steal bases in center field. Chase Utley with 28 homers at second. Ryan Howard now 37 home runs at first base. He had 2 here Friday. Jason Worth 29 homers right field. Raul Ibanez, despite a recent slump, hitting .278, 27 homers. Pedro Feliz, the sure-handed third baseman, batting 7th. Carlos Ruiz, the catcher, and Joe Blanton, the pitcher, batting 9th, all up against the 23-year-old right-hander. Jair Jurgens, not much heralded around baseball, but those numbers are among the best in the game. 2.91 ERA. Strike one to Jimmy Rollins.
Well, Johnny's 6-0 in his own division with a 1.79 ERA. He has not ever given up a home run in his 2 years here in Citizen Banks Park.
That just is not possible.
Yeah, that's what you would think, but he has not given up one. I hope we don't curse him, but he has pitched great here. He's got great stuff. He's got a good sinking fastball. He's got a riding fastball, change-up, slider. I think his slider is really tough to read. You can't see the spin on it.
1-2 the count. The fastball is lifted to shallow left field. Garrett Anderson just kind of easing in on that one as the shortstop Escobar was sprinting out for it, and Garrett moved in about 8 or 9 feet and caught it easily. And that's pretty good hustle there by Escobar.
Take a look at the Braves defensively. We saw Garrett Anderson in left field there. Ryan Grecky in center field for Ryan Church, not able to play in this one. And Matt Diaz in right field. Chipper Jones at third. Yanel Escobar and Martin Prado up the middle. And Adam LaRoche, a fine defender at first base. And then Brian McCann behind the plate.
Here now, Shane Victorino. There's McCann setting the target on the outside. And it's low over the middle of the plate for ball one. Off-speed pitch, perhaps the change-up to Shane Victorino. Victorino can do a little bit of everything. He can hit the occasional long ball. He hits a lot of extra base hits, doubles and triples. Hitting over 300, steals bases. That's his little pop fly, shallow center. There's Gorecki. And again, Escobar was out. Escobar's run about 1.5 miles on those 2 pop flies and didn't catch either one of them.
Better safe than sorry with that wind blowing and the ball coming back in. And
well, I like it. He's not taking anything for granted.
Bobby Cox likes that as well.
Well, you see the Phillies ranked first in runs scored per game as well as total runs scored. Look at that. The stolen base percentage, 82%. I mean, that's fabulous for a team. Good ERA, errors. Jimmy Rollins has only made 3 errors the entire season, and you mentioned he's gone 75 consecutive games without an error.
So Howard is on deck as Utley stands in, and a fastball in there for a called strike.
Well, even that ERA is a little bit misleading where it says they're ranked 6th. They have the best ERA in the National League since the All-Star break, so the pitching has really come around. The Cliff Lee acquisition, obviously, a major part of that.
Chase Utley, the beginning of the serious power in the Phillies batting order. That one into deep center, but the wind looked like it knocked it down, and handled by Gorecki. The inning is over. And 7-pitch inning for Jurgens. Has returned, the prodigal son returning for the Atlanta Braves, for whom he hit 32 home runs not so long ago. But they had a need. They needed a closer, and they went and got Mike Gonzalez from the Pittsburgh Pirates and gave up LaRoche. Well, LaRoche is back, and he has really helped fill a big void in that lineup.
Well, he injured himself last night on a base hit running to second base.
Joe Blanton throws him a called strike. The off-speed pitch in there. 1 ball, 2 strikes. I asked him about that. He said he actually hurt himself against Florida maybe 4 or 5 days ago, but it was aggravated last time, the play you're talking about.
Because they weren't sure he was going to play today. He hurt his hip, as Bobby Cox said, and they weren't sure, but he's in there. He's going to see if he can go. We'll have to see him try to run. There's Bobby Cox.
I think LaRoche, and although he wouldn't say it, he said, "Oh, I'm okay."
Well, this time of the year, that's all you can say, Joe.
He's okay, and he's in there. Chase Utley, and that is out number 1. LaRoche is retired by Blanton. Doubleheader coming up on Wednesday on ESPN. First at 7 Eastern, catch Victor Martinez and the Boston Red Sox against Evan Longoria and the Rays. Big game for the Rays. ESPN News will be shown in the Boston and Tampa St. Pete markets. Then in the game presented by Smirnoff Ice at 10 Eastern, Mark Reynolds got 40 home runs now. He and the Diamondbacks have won 4 in a row. Take on Manny Ramirez and the first place Dodgers. It'll be 10 Eastern on Wednesday. ESPN News will be shown in both the Phoenix and LA markets.
Hey, if Manny doesn't start hitting, they're going to have to give Andre Ethier that billing.
And a slider for a called strike on the outside. Well, Manny has not been the same hitter since he came back from the suspension. It has been shown. You just crunch the numbers, you can see that. And that's just crunching the numbers if you're not watching them every day. Dodger fans watching them every day, and they know big time that it's not the same Manny right now.
Joe, you're a big numbers guy. I know that, right?
Right.
Big stat guy.
Crunch those numbers.
I'm
Joe.
like you, John. I just watch them. I can tell just by watching. The numbers are there for support, but I can watch a guy and tell that if he's not swinging the bat well. And I've been watching Manny. He's not the same Manny, like you said. And, I mean, he took a third call strike with the bases loaded the other night with the Dodgers 2-run down. That's not Manny.
Reed Gurecki, the young outfielder, well, young in terms of major league experience, not much. And Gurecki down on strikes. Gurecki playing tonight in place of Ryan Church, who's got a back problem. Had to be scratched from the lineup late. I talked to Gurecki before the game, and I said, we could well see you in there tonight. He says, well, you know, maybe late in the game, pinch hitting, maybe pinch running, something like that. Maybe even before that. So he had no inkling that he was going to be in there. Grew up a Mets fan. He's from the New York area. I said, who was your favorite player? He said, oh, you need like 3 days for me to list all my favorite Mets players. 0-2 now to Jair Jurgens. Not current Mets players, however. Now he's a Brave. That's not allowed.
Now that wouldn't be politically correct.
Well, Ryan Church went out and took batting practice because I watched him and he couldn't go, and that's why they put Gurecki in there. But Bobby Cox says he's a good outfielder.
Jurgens with the ground ball to third. Pedro Feliz. And he knew he had plenty of time, and that's the inning. Ryan Howard, who is on an otherworldly tear, coming up. Some think his on-base average isn't high enough, that his ops isn't quite what it should be, that his VORP is not quite stellar enough.
We're going to need Joe to explain VORP to us later.
No, you don't.
But when you look at the way he has carried this team in the stretch run, not just right now where he's incredibly hot, but last year picking it up about this time of the year, there was nobody driving in more big runs in all the big games than Ryan Howard down the stretch last year and the year before that as well.
But, John, I think when you look at Ryan Howard, he's an exception to that rule that says you do not like guys to strike out a lot. No one likes that. But you have to give him a pass because he produces runs. He's driving in 140 runs. He's not just driving in 100 runs. I mean, he's going to drive in 140 again. I mean, this guy, you just have to forget about the strikeouts. And I'm not one that says that normally, but I think he's an exception to the rule. I believe you should put the ball in play, but when you're talking about Ryan Howard, there is a difference in what he does on the baseball field.
In his last 3 years, not even counting this year's, which was his only full years in the big leagues, his average season consisted of 51 homers, 144 RBIs.
And how are you going to criticize a guy that does that?
Oh, he could be doing way better than that.
You just can't do it. I know we would like for him to be a perfect player, but you just can't do it.
They've got 3 infielders to the right side for him, and the changeup from Jair Jurgens in there for a called strike. You see the third baseman, Chipper Jones, is at shortstop. The shortstop is now playing second base. That's Escobar, and the second baseman, Prado, is out in right field. A ball and a strike to Ryan Howard. 2 homers here on Friday. And a slider in the dirt. 2-1 the count.
John, we're going to hear from Ryan Howard in his own words about his approach to hitting, later on tonight. But one thing, I talked to some of the players, and one thing that he looks like he's doing now is he's crouching a little bit more. And he said it wasn't intentional. He was just experimenting, and all of a sudden he just found himself in that position.
Center field, but that's against the wind over into left center. Gorecki.
That got in on him.
Out number 1.
That got in on him a little bit anyway, John. And that's where you try to get him out, is up and in, and that ball was in on him. Here's a look from the K-Zone brought to you by Ford. There's a pitch down, and then there's a changeup for a strike. Curveball down. High fastball, and you can see that he jams himself. Actually, that ball's not way inside. You can see pulls his arms in right there to try to get to it. No extension at all, and that's why he couldn't drive that ball.
Here's another power hitter, Jason Word, 29 home runs for the year. And that's a ball inside. Now, right now, the flags in center indicating the wind is more blowing straight in than across, as we see Howard swing again.
Well, John, when you use your top hand, the ball, you don't drive the ball. The ball doesn't get the underspin on it to carry, and that's exactly what happened there. I believe that if he hits it, John, even against that wind, it'll go out. But watch how he pulls his left arm in, and watch his right hand take over. He's trying to catch up. See how he pulls it away with his left hand, trying to catch up with the pitch, and you can't do that. You can't drive the ball like that.
Well, that wind has increased.
Yeah.
And it's got some gusto coming in from downtown Philadelphia at the moment. During batting practice, more of a crosswind in from left and out toward right. That's pushing a ball to right field, but right now I think balls out, especially out to center field, are getting knocked down. 1-2. And he buzzes him with a high tight fastball. 2-2.
Now, Jair Jurgens, in his success against the Philadelphia Phillies this year, has been with the fastball away. But so far in this game, he's been very aggressive with the fastball in, trying to speed the hitters up on the inside part of the plate and then going away. With Howard, he went soft, 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 and then he tried to speed up and beat him with that fastball up and in, and he did beat him with the fastball.
3-2 now. Back to the changeup. But I know what you're saying, Joe, even with the wind, Howard, if he hits it,
I think he can drive it out.
Jimmy Rollins told a story, though, when that wind's blowing straight in, which it is at the moment, even Howard has had huge drives knocked down. That ball is off the right field line and fouled back into the crowd.
There's no doubt that the wind can have an effect on it. But when the big guys hit them, sometimes, John, the wind just seems to open up, let it go through.
Joe, one of the points you made earlier, Jason Worth at the plate there, he is one of the most underrated players in baseball. I think not only on this team, he can do so many things to help you win a game. He has power, he has speed, he can run it down to the gap, he has a great arm in the outfield.
I think I call him a winning player. He does the things that help you win. His batting average is not way up there like some of the other guys. You know, he's hitting 271, which isn't bad, but I'm just saying he's not a 300 hitter. That might be why he doesn't get the credit that he deserves, but he's a winner. He knows how to win. The things that he does on the field helps you win ball games day in and day out.
3-2 the count to Worth. 1 out, nobody on. Yeah, well, he struck him out with that changeup. Out number 2. And let's go to the studio. Here's Dari Noka with the Sports Center right now. Starry, and here is Raul Ibanez. 1 ball and no strikes. The Giants and Rockies now tied with 31 games to play in that wild card division, and the Braves at the moment 3 games out, but only 2 in the loss column as they head to Florida next. And the ball outside to Ibanez. 2-0 the count. Ibanez has been struggling. Get into the power of the Phillies with Utley, Howard, Worth, Ibanez, 4 guys in a row. Any one of them can hurt you big time. But Ibanez only 6 hits in his last 44 at bats. It's in the doldrums right now. Chipper Jones, who can relate, throws him out. That's 6 in a row retired by Jurgens. We head to the 3rd inning, top of the order. Diaz, Prado, and Chipper coming up. 1-0 Atlanta.
Always there.
Downtown Philadelphia, Central City. I mean, we're over on the more the south side of Philly, South Philly, where all the ballparks here, the ballparks, the sports arenas, the football stadiums. We're in Citizens Bank Park. 1-0. The Braves are leading, and then Diaz, the leadoff man, right back to Blanton. 1 away. Diaz got robbed his first time on a diving catch by Jimmy Rollins. 1 out. Here is Martin Prado. He is responsible for the run in the first inning.
Got that fastball middle of the plate in and turned on it. Just drove it out of the ballpark. 90-mile-an-hour fastball. And I'll tell you what, Prado's been a big part of the turnaround of this Braves offense as well. As the month of July turned and the offense turned, he has gotten on base, driven the ball in the gaps, driven in some runs, and really given some productive at bats.
Kelly Johnson is still struggling.
Kelly Johnson, who had the job at second base when the season began and struggled so much, they finally sent him back to the minor leagues, and Prado got his opportunity and made good on it. He has seized the job. Prado is from Maracay, Venezuela, and he told me before the game that the Caribbean World Series, or the Caribbean Series, if you will be in Venezuela this coming offseason as he strikes out swinging against Blanton, out number 2.
Carlos Ruiz sets up and gives a great target for Blanton. I mean, that's what you want from a catcher. Watch this pitch. Watch, he gets down. That one's down, but the pitch before, I mean, he set up right on the outside corner, got down real low, and when you give the guy a target like that, he's going to keep the ball down.
Chipper Jones, who walked his first time. Fastball misses, 1 ball and no strikes. And after the home run by Prado, he walked Chipper in the first, walked another later in the inning, and now he has started to settle in. Retired 6 in a row. 2-0, nobody on. And the changeup on a 2-0 pitch. He threw that changeup. He's got supreme confidence in that changeup right now.
Well, I think you have to give him. You can't give in the Chipper 2-0 like that. Great comeback pitch.
I think we really have 2 of the better changeups in the National League with Jurgens and Blanton here. But that fastball right there, Chipper Jones had a 91-mile-per-hour fastball in his first at bat that he fouled over the third base dugout, and he did it right there again. He just doesn't seem to be able to get the bat head out like he used to.
Curveball misses in the dirt.
You know, a lot of people think, well, maybe he's not healthy or anything else. But Joe, you talk to him, and health's not a real factor, right? So it may be that we're just starting to see the beginning of the end for Chipper Jones.
What he really said to me is that
changeup struck him out.
He said he couldn't hit the changeup.
Well, he has a point there, Joe.
You know, I can see that. Citizens Bank Park in Philadelphia, and the hometown 9 is trailing the Atlanta Braves 1-0. Huge game of the Braves. If they lose it, they'll leave town 8 games back, with only 3 more to play against the Phillies this year, and almost a hopeless case at that point as we are about to head into September. But also, they would still have that, at least a glimmer of hope in that division. Nobody knows that better than the Phillies, who came from 7 games back of the Mets with 17 to play 2 years ago.
Different situation. Different teams.
Pedro Feliz, then Ruiz and Blanton to follow against Jurgens. And Jurgens, so far he'd make it look easy. Retired 6 in a row.
What I'm impressed with, not so much just his stuff, but his location. Staying out of the middle of the plate.
Prado goes out, squares up under it, but called off by Gorecki, the center fielder, who took charge just as he should. 1 away.
John, I want to show you something about Chipper Jones. You're going to watch a pitcher take a hitter's count and turn it into a pitcher's count. The first pitch, a fastball away for ball 1. Now 2-0. This becomes a hitter's count. What does he do? He throws a changeup. It's no longer a hitter's count because he comes back with a good fastball. Now he finishes with this changeup. So he took a hitter's count and turned it into a pitcher's count. Not a lot of guys can do that in those situations. When they get 2-0, they will come with the fastball.
That was the look from the K Zone, brought to you by Ford. Carlos Ruiz, man, He must have been working with his teammate Matt Stairs on swinging hard. That was a hellacious cut, wasn't it? And he does have 3 homers in his last 8 games. He wants more. He likes the feeling.
Well, no, he's smarting up right there. It goes the other way.
Digging it out in the corner is Diaz. It's a double for Carlos Ruiz, the first base runner of the night for the Phillies.
See, he was just setting him up, John.
I guess so. I can see that now.
You take the big swing, and then he thinks you're going to try to pull it, and now he goes the other way. I mean, he took the big swing, and there's the big swing you're talking about. Now, watch this. He cuts down. Look at that. Just pushes it up that way. He guides it down the right field line for a double. Look at that. Nice hitting there by Carlos Ruiz.
He's also been paying attention, watching that Jurgen's been starting most hitters off with a fastball, trying to work ahead in the count.
Now, Blanton, never been much of a hitter, although he does have a home run in World Series play as Ruiz moves over to third.
John, I want to make one more point about Chipper Jones because we're talking about him when he went to break. You know, we talked about having 14 consecutive years of 20 or more home runs. If he gets to 15, guess who's only other guy people to do that? Hank Aaron did it 20 times. Babe Ruth 16 times. Barry Bonds 15 times. Willie Mays 15 times. So Chipper Jones would join that group as the only guys that have 15 consecutive years of 20 or more home runs. That's quite an accomplishment.
That is a who's who of home run sluggers in the history of the game. Here's Jimmy Rollins trying to knock in a run here. He's ordinarily the guy who tried to get on and get driven in. Now they want him to be the RBI man. Ball one is Jurgens buzzed him with a high tight fastball.
In his MVP year, he was a good RBI man.
Well, he's driven in 60 runs this year. And that changeup is too low. In fact, Rollins, although his numbers are not very good for the season, in runners in scoring position at bats, his average is a little bit better.
Well, John, we're hearing that hitters count again. Let's see what Jurgens does here. He comes out with a fastball.
Down the right field line and foul.
Was a changeup. That's what I was wondering. It looks like after he swung at it, you could see it wasn't a fastball, but it looked like a fastball in the air. So smart pitch there by Jurgens. Watch, you can see that it's a changeup just by the way that Jimmy Rollins is out in front of it. And the key is that both of these pitchers, their changeups are not straight changeups. Both of them have movement away from the left-handed hitter.
So Jurgens did to Rollins on a 2-0 pitch, what Blanton did to Chipper.
Well, let's see if he comes with the fastball now as he did to Chipper.
And he did. And that's into shallow center. Gorecki started back and over, had to come racing in, but he got there. Stranded at third is Ruiz.
Good pitching there.
Brian McCann coming up, then Garrett Anderson when we come back. ESPN's Monday Night Football. With Favre's arm and Adrian Peterson's legs, the Vikings offense looks ready for liftoff. It's preseason action. Monday Night Football on ESPN, Monday at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. Coverage begins with Monday Night Countdown at 7 Eastern Time. And there is ball one to Brian McCann from Joe Blanton. 1-0 Atlanta leading the Phillies on a first inning home run by Martin Prado. McCann 0 for 1 in the game. And a changeup too high, 2-0. Although with both Blanton and Jurgens, we've seen very graphically, it doesn't seem to matter if it's 2-0 or not. They can come back and get you anyway.
That's how you keep the ball in the ballpark. If you're a Jurgens, that's why the Phillies have not hit home runs off of. He's able to keep them off balance.
2-0 changeup right there for ball 3.
And a fastball in for a strike at the knees. 3-1 the count.
You know, a lot of teams don't like to play the Sunday night game because sometimes it puts some pressure on with the travel.
It's a soaring fly ball into right center. Coming into the ball as the wind knocks it down. Victorino, 1 away.
But for the Atlanta Braves, I think it's an advantage to a certain degree because it allows Brian McCann to play on a day where if it were a day game as the catcher, he might have to take the day off. So it's actually, I think, an advantage for Atlanta because as their cleanup hitter, they need him in that lineup.
They had a late night last night, a night game, and a couple of rain delays in that game as well.
I don't think the Braves would agree, but I think you're right.
The rest of them don't care so much.
The rest of them do not.
Garrett Anderson down the right field line and foul. Garrett was a very aggressive fastball swinger, and he's hit a lot of home runs on pitches right out of the chute. Garrett hit a home run, in fact, last night, his 12th of the year, and he hit it with 2 men on against Cliff Lee. Cliff Lee looked like he was up to more of the same in the 4th inning of that game. He had a shutout going, and then they put 5 on the board against Lee. The first time that he'd really been roughed up. First time he'd given up more than 1 as a Philly. Pedro Feliz right on the foul line. 2 down. Jamie Moyer now a bullpen man, and as such he was out. His longtime starting pitcher was out warming up. Jason Worth stepped out of the bullpen, which will often happen with relief pitchers. Just that Jamie Moyer has not been one for a long time. Since what, the 60s?
Well, the interesting thing about Jamie Moyer is that he leads the Phillies. I mean, he's got 12 wins now. I mean, he's come back with a couple of wins out of the bullpen. He was 10-9 when he went to the bullpen.
He got one here, in fact, on Friday. That changeup, a swinging strike for Yunel Escobar, who grounded into a force play his first time. Jamie Moyer has twice picked up games that Pedro Martinez started, and then they had a long rain delay, and so they opted not to bring him back. And Jamie gave the bullpen, the rest of the bullpen anyway, a night off, which hard to overstate the value of that to a team. Not just that he won those 2 games, but that bullpen was fresh and ready to go as if they'd gotten a complete game the night before, the next day both times.
Saw him out there explaining his grip on his changeup to somebody out in the bullpen there. Talk about that room in between to be able to take the pressure off the ball. But I mean, I think there's also a benefit where Moyer gets the wins. It's also some points for him. You know, he reluctantly went out to the bullpen to get a couple of wins out of it. I think it's like a salve to the injury or to the pain of having to move out to the bullpen there, and a little bit of reward for him.
Pedro himself said there was nobody happier for him than he was. He said he certainly deserved to get that chance as Escobar draws a walk. He got a slider on a 3-1 pitch there. So Escobar goes to first. The third walk allowed by Blanton, and the batter will be Adam LaRoche.
Well, with the wind blowing in from left, I don't think I would have thrown Escobar a 3-1 off-speed pitch. I'll throw him a fastball, let him go ahead and pull it, because with LaRoche up there, he can hit the ball out in right field, because I still believe the ball will fly out in right field like it normally does. The wind is kind of shifting out there. One of the flags is blowing toward right field.
There's a broken bat. That's a base hit. The ball went over the head of Ryan Howard. The bat went right by him. Over to third base goes Escobar on the broken bat single by Adam LaRoche.
They tried to get inside on LaRoche. He has that unconventional approach at the plate where he stands almost facing the pitcher and then strides in to the plate. You see them get inside there, and jam him, but able to break the bat, but has enough strength on it to get over Ryan Howard's head for the single into right field.
Man, I'm glad that bat went somewhere other than right at Ryan, because Ryan was totally focused on that baseball. Didn't look like he ever even paid any attention to that bat, which was a lethal weapon hurtling its way out there with a jagged edge. And here is Reed Gorecki. Runners at first and third, 2 down. We're going to delve into Ryan Howard and his style and his approach to hitting between innings. So stay with us. After the Braves at bats have finished, we got a big moment right here now. You got a base empty. The pitcher, Jurgens, is on deck. So Blanton trying not to make any kind of a mistake here to a guy who's an actual hitter, Reed Gorecki, but he's ahead of him now, 0-2.
Sure seems like he wants to attack Gorecki and maybe leave Jurgens in the on-deck circle to get him to lead off the next inning. Gorecki took a big swing on that first one, pulling off the ball and really opening up the outer third of the plate for Blanton.
Timeout granted by the plate umpire Lance Barksdale, just as Blanton was starting to throw that pitch. 0-2. Big crowd in Philadelphia. Seen tonight in center field. Beautiful ballpark here, especially when it's filled, and it is often. But he tried to get him to go after one out of the strike zone. Gorecki said no.
See, that was a great target again set up by Carlos Ruiz.
Here it comes. On the inside corner, strike 3 call. Had a great job of hitting the target by Blanton there. 2 men stranded. When we come back, Ryan Howard will tell us about his approach to hitting.
You're trying to keep everything right here in front of you so that your head doesn't move and that you stay behind the ball. That's what he's trying to do there. Now, when he says stay inside the ball, for him, it works because he can take the ball here and push it to left field. But when you stay inside the ball on that inside pitch, a lot of times you're going to get jammed, you'll break a bat and go the other way. But for him, it works because he's strong. See, here's Friday night. See how strong he is? But that one wasn't so much inside, but he hit it the other way and hit it to left field.
Shane Victorino with a drag bunt attempt, but Jurgens able to get off the mound and handle it and retires him. So Victorino, not this time, 1 away.
Well, John, his weakness is on the inside. You can pound him inside, Ryan Howard. You can fire him up inside, and that's his weakness. So in order to keep from pulling off the ball and trying to roll over and pull everything, he says he's going to stay there, and that's what he calls staying inside the ball for him.
Well, just in his first at bat, he got jammed a little bit on the inside fastball. Didn't quite get to it all the way. And where Ryan Howard gets in trouble for me is when he opens up, where he almost tries to expect that inside pitch. He opens up and then he can't react to that ball away, which is why I think he tries to stay inside the ball.
Well, I talked to the opposition, I won't say who, but they were also telling me, just like that, most of the balls he's going to hit are going to be out here when he hits the ball out of the ballpark, because he extends out away from him. Yeah, they can't see me, you're right. The ball out away from him, he's going to hit. And that's why he hits a lot of balls in left field, left center, right center, as well as pulling the ball to right field.
Speaking of which, Utley down the right field line. Goodbye! A line drive into the crowd to tie the game. Chase Utley, number 29 for the season.
A little bit different swing for this guy, though, Joe. A little shorter and quicker to the ball.
Much quicker, much shorter, but part of it is his stature. He's not as tall, of course, as Ryan Howard, so he doesn't have the arc. But let's take a look at this pitch. All right, that pitch is right in the middle of the plate, caught it down a little bit. In the first inning, he got a pitch. See how he gets the good extension there out in front? That's why he pulls the ball. And that's why the ball goes out of the ballpark on a line, because he has such a short, quick stroke.
So Utley has tied the game with a home run, and here is Ryan Howard, who hit a fly ball to left center his first time. And he changed up on the first pitch to Jurgens. Foul ball, strike one.
See, if I'm going to pitch to Ryan Howard, what I want to do is I want to bust him in with a fastball to try to speed him up, to get him conscious of that inside pitch on a fastball. So he's got to be quick to get there. Then I want to go soft away, where he's already opening up, trying to think fast inside, and where he can't stay back to handle the soft pitch away.
That is a base hit over the head of Escobar. Diaz retrieves it. Ryan Howard with his first hit of the night.
Well, let's see if he turns in that barrel that he was talking about, stays behind this. He did a pretty good job because he was able to extend to it. That's a pretty good job right there. See how he stays back? See, to me, when he's talking about staying inside the ball, he's talking about staying back, not getting out front. See, that's very similar to what we saw from Utley there. Only the ball was more away from Howard than it was to Utley. See, I mean, that's a beautiful swing right there. Good extension.
Here's Jason Worth. 1 ball and no strikes.
Ryan Howard really stayed on that pole, too. There wasn't a lot of body moving forward. He rotated around that axis of rotation, that kind of center of gravity that he had. It did jump at the pitch.
Jason Worth, another of the Phillies' home run hitters. And that is a called strike at the knees. Worth might have thought it was a little bit too low. 1 ball and 1 strike. These big 4 guys, Howard's got 37, Utley 29, Worth 29, and Ibanez 27. It's 122 home runs from the 4 guys. The broken back grounder, Chipper to second one, Trotter to first, a double play. And the inning has ended just like that. But Chase Utley hit a laser beam into the right field bleachers. This game is tied at 1 as we head to the 5th. Chase Utley's 29th home run of the year has tied this game at 1 as we head to the 5th inning.
John, there's two ways to generate power. Either you use bat speed, which is Utley, what he does to generate power, or you have strength, which is what Ryan Howard has. Now look at how short and quick this is. Right there. Now watch him cut. He cuts it off. A little longer swing for Howard because he's taller. His arc is going to be longer, but he's also just more powerful, and therefore he generates a lot of his distance with just raw power, whereas with Utley, it's all with bat speed.
Chase Utley, and there's an added element to Utley's power, and that has to do with the position that he plays on the field.
Yeah.
First baseman, you're supposed to hit a lot of home runs. Not many hit as many as Howard, but second baseman, that's a great bonus. And that is a tremendous amount of production out of a second baseman who also is one of the top defensive second basemen in the league to boot.
Well, there's so many powerful second basemen now. Aaron Hill, I mean, Kinsler. You've got guys like just the new wave of second basemen now. When you're talking about a guy like Utley, these guys are powerful. They hit home runs. All of them are going to hit over 30 home runs again. I'm going to show you, watch this with him. From here to here is where he generates the bat speed and the power. And that's what happens. Right, all of it is right there with the extension. That's all. And he even stops his swing, so to speak. He doesn't continue his swing. Watch his right left hand how it just rolls over right here. And he stops it. See right there, that's how he cuts it off. Most guys swinging all the way around, he just cuts it off right there.
See, the thing that's interesting to me is Chase Utley is a pull hitter.
Yeah.
I mean, his base hits primarily, particularly his power, is to right field. Ryan Howard, you would think the big, brute, raw power guy, he sprays it around the field with his power. It's not exclusively to just right field.
Strike 3 call to Jair Jurgens, who made Blanton work. He got to a full count before he was called out on strikes.
Well, I mean, you can see, as you said right there, that's where Utley hits the ball. But see, you can't pitch him inside like you can Ryan Howard. The ball is middle in. He can generate the bat speed to pull the ball. That's why he's going to hit more home runs to right field. I don't think he can hit a lot of home runs to center and left field.
But see, that's why I don't understand. I understand trying to pitch Ryan Howard inside and busting him in, especially with that inside, stay inside the ball approach. For Chase Utley, that stroke is so short and quick. I'd much rather throw him out over the plate and let him hit it to the deepest part of the ballpark. So I'm surprised they pitch him in as much as they do.
Well, you know, sometimes they throw it where they're not trying to. I mean,
right.
The first time at bat, he had an even better pitch to hit. And he flew out to center field.
Matt Diaz to Phillies. A hurried throw, and he just got him by a step. Ryan Howard with a nifty bit of footwork coming across the bag to accept the throw.
We're talking about Ryan Howard, his career home run hit chart, where he hits the percentage of his home runs. You'd think the big power hitting guy would pull him. Well, look at Ryan Howard. I mean, the highest percentage to left field. Then you go to center field and coming all the way around to right field. So, you know, they tend to pitch him away because they're sometimes afraid to come inside on him, and he's taken advantage of that. I think that's really why that approach of staying inside the ball has paid dividends for him.
Now Martin Prado, who has delivered Atlanta's only run with a home run. That was in the first inning. And they have not scored since against Joe Blanton. Ryan Howard, the fastest to 200 career homers in Major League history. And that, we don't mean the youngest, we mean the fastest in terms of games played. He got there in his 658th game. Hall of Famer Ralph Kiner was the previous fastest to 200. It was in his 706th game. Oh, big curveball, and that had the knees buckling for Prado. Strike 2.
That's an outstanding curveball right there. I mean, that Prado's a pretty good breaking ball hitter. He's some turn on the fastball early, but a guy who can stay back and go the other way, but he buckled on that one.
Fastball just off the outside.
That's a setup from Ruiz right there again, Joe. He really gets a very low target.
And that, especially on the outside, and you will not see a guy, watch how low he gets. Look at that target. And that will keep the ball down. You will not see him hang a pitch when a catcher gives you that target.
The slider bounced foul on a 2-2 count. He went to the slider. His pitching coach, Rich Doobie, has said that when you ask him what all he throws, this, and he said basically he'll throw everything out there but the kitchen sink, is the way Doobie put it.
I'm still surprised that the A's let him go.
That's a little flare into left center field. Base hit. Pretty good hitting there by Prado. Another slider. And he was able to flick it out there into left center to get himself aboard in front of Chipper Jones.
A good piece of hitting with 2 strikes, just trying to put the ball in play, making contact, and stayed back, let the ball travel a little bit deeper, and took the changeup right back up the middle.
So now Chipper, who has walked and struck out. He struck out on a changeup back in the 3rd. 5 strikeouts for Blanton so far. The fastball too high. Doesn't seem the fastball is almost always out of the strike zone with Blanton. It's a little bit above, a little bit off the corner.
That's the serve of purpose. That fastball in is to get him thinking, okay, I've got to be quick on that fastball in and then go to the changeup away.
Well, that was supposed to be a fastball away. He didn't get it away there. He made a mistake on it, so to speak, but he did not get that one away.
1 ball, 1 strike. Blanton has thrown 84 pitches already, working in the 5th. And there's that changeup for a called strike 2.
See, and that's not a straight changeup, John. That ball starts inside and moves, you know, like it moves back over the plate. That's why it's so tough to handle. And then the one that starts over the plate moves to the outside.
Curveball. And he got a piece of it. 1 ball. Now that pitch that a right-hander throws to a lefty starts inside and moves back to the plate. Did Greg Maddux invent that pitch?
Well, lately. I mean, there were guys that threw that pitch years ago, but not as successfully as Greg did.
Anybody ever throw it?
No, not as successful.
Better and more consistent. Chase Utley has to hurry. Oh, he got him, and Chipper didn't think so. Chipper a little unhappy with that call by Marvin Hudson. The inning is over. $44,000 or so of our dear friends, primarily Phillies fans here in Philadelphia, as you might expect. Here is Ibanez. If you're a baseball fan, then you're friends of ours.
Exactly.
That's right.
John, I talked to Charlie Manuel about Ibanez, and I'll tell you, it was very interesting. He was saying that because he's not seeing the ball well out of the pitcher's hand, that once he sees it, he has to rush to get his foot down and then try to catch up. And all that has destroyed his timing. So it's about not seeing the ball out of the pitcher's hand well. And therefore he's moving late. So he's rushing everything.
Did he get his eyes checked?
Well, no. You know, it's funny, John. You play a game for a long time. You assume that you find the ball. You assume that you're going to see it when the pitcher lets it go. And you have to really focus on one point, either his shoulder. You have to focus on a release point. You have to find that release point and focus right there. A lot of guys, it's hard to do because you just take it for granted. Batting practice, pitchers throwing to you, and you find the ball and you go hit it. But in the game, you have to focus on seeing the ball at his release point. See, he's late on everything, as you can see.
Well, how do you get yourself, Joe, back on track with that? To be able to see the ball better?
You know what's easy? I actually, Jimmy Rollins and Victorino, last year in San Francisco, I gave them a suggestion. Let's take a look here. See, once he gets his foot down, the ball's already on him. It's already, you know, too close to him. Watch, the ball's already right there when he tries to make contact. But I'll give you an example of what you can do.
3-2, and again late on the
fastball. But what you can do is when you take batting practice, when the batting practice pitcher's throwing, don't move until you see the ball because you got time in batting practice. And have the guy sometimes just give you a blank hand. Don't release the ball. And if you move, then it tells you that you're moving too quickly. See the ball before you move.
He was having an all-star kind of a season. In fact, was on the all-star team. But he has not done much here in a long, long time. Only one home run in his last 105 at-bats. He gets a walk this time against Jurgens, the first allowed by Jurgens.
John, we saw Chipper Jones upset on this call, and I think he had a right to be. Watch this. See how deep Utley is. Now he charges, but he waits on the ball. And by the time he throws it to first base, Chipper Jones, look at this. Chipper Jones and looked like he was safe there. He was called out, and he wasn't very happy.
Ball one to Pedro Phillies.
But watch his left toe. Watch the toe. Now it's down right there. And the ball is not in Howard's glove yet. And Chipper very upset.
Anything but the ball being there before his foot hits the bag, and he's safe.
Even though they call tie goes to the runner too, right?
They say that.
You told me that
there's never a tie, right?
You said Doug Harvey told you there's no such thing as a tie. Either the throw beat him there or it didn't.
Just checking. I told you that 19 years ago. You still remember, huh?
You know,
I remember everything you told me.
Look at that play. And Chase Utley did not go at it as aggressively. Look at Ryan Howard catches the ball. He stretches, but then he catches it back by his leg instead of reaching to catch the ball out there. And that little bit of difference, I think, is the difference between whether Chipper Jones actually was safe and ultimately being out.
Pedro Feliz, and he lobs one into center field. Base hit. Over to second base is Ibanez. So Feliz gets his first hit. 2 men on and nobody out with the 8th place hitter Ruiz coming up.
This is a situation where the Phillies have struggled of late. Charlie Manuel's been a little frustrated at their hitting with runners in scoring position. They just haven't come up with the big hits. And this is a typical situation where Jair Jurgens elevates his game. He's among the best in the game with runners in scoring position.
Well, the Phillies have scored 46% of their runs with the home run. That's why he's upset. He would like to get some singles to drive in runs.
Strike one called to Ruiz. Look at that fastball coming in there, 95 miles an hour. So he can reach back when he needs to and to give you a real good fastball.
Well, that's why his numbers are good with runners in scoring position, because he can take his stuff to another level. Surprises you with that fastball, and Charlie Manuel talked about his ability to change speeds with the fastball.
Strike two, another fastball on the inside. The pitcher, Blanton, is on deck. So a key to this inning right now really is Ruiz making something happen. 2 men on, nobody out. But in the National League, the pitcher bats. And most pitchers are just not very good at it.
Isn't that the way the game was designed to be?
The game was designed for pitchers to bat. I don't know that it was actually designed
well,
for pitchers not to be any good at it.
Well, that might be true too. Well, that's the difference. You take a guy like Sabathia, who was a good hitter, and you take that away from him when you make the DH.
Brian McCann, outstanding block of that ball in the dirt there. 0-2 count. They went to the slider in the dirt, kept it in front, kept the runners at first and second instead of allowing them to advance to where a productive out scores a run.
So 2 men on, nobody out, and a 1-ball 2-strike count to Ruiz. And now McCann's going to go out and talk to Jurgens as they seem to have a difference of opinion about what pitch to next throw.
You know, all the things we talk about with the Phillies, how good they are at run scoring, whatever, but they're also the worst at productive outs, too. And so they have to hit home runs to do something about scoring runs.
Look at that right there. 186 opponent's batting average with runners in scoring position, and that's where this young man elevates his stuff and makes his best pitch when he needs it.
And a foul. Changed up on him.
Good job by Ruiz to make contact there. That was a great pitch. After he'd thrown him a couple of fastballs in, and that was a changeup away, and he did a good job of making contact.
I think that changed his eye level right here. Throw that high fastball, something up in the zone to get him to try to chase it.
He hasn't thrown many high fastballs, so that would be. So he's staying down. Everything's.
That's a base hit to left field. Ibanez will stop at third.
See, I agree with you there. A good high fastball would have been right, but he hasn't thrown many of those tonight. And the target was down again, so he threw it where they wanted him to throw it, but I think a good high, you got a night, see where the target is, he keeps it down.
They missed the spot they sent up inside, he threw it down and in, but over the heart of the plate. I wouldn't have gone fastball with Ruiz. I think you give him a chance to put the ball in play and at least make a productive out. He picks up the hit, but I would have gone breaking ball out of the zone or elevate that fastball higher than high fastball.
So now Joe Blanton comes up with the bases loaded and a fastball at the knees for a strike. Blanton, as a hitter, 4 hits in 43 at bats, 1 run batted in.
What do you do if you're Charlie Manuel here? I think this is where a manager.
That is a foul ball.
A manager has to decide what he wants here. Do you want him to ground into a double play, which come home to first, which because he doesn't run that well, or do you sometimes let him go up there and just take 3 strikes?
Right.
You have Jimmy Rollins coming up next, who would be very difficult to double up, and there would only be 1 out. But, I mean, that's a decision that a manager makes over the course of the season, depending on the pitcher.
And now Charlie is a great hitting instructor.
Correct.
A student of hitting.
Loves to talk hitting.
He wants him to hit.
Can
He hit the dirt for a ball. But how many times you see a guy in a spot like this hit the double play ball?
Exactly.
Can you actually have your third base coach give him the take sign with 2 strikes?
Yeah, you can.
You can?
Oh, yeah. But you know what? If you're Jimmy Rollins and you're standing in the on-deck circle, you're hoping he strikes out. That's what you're doing.
Let's see what he looks like. Jimmy's thinking.
And he may cross us all up and hit a grand slam.
1-2.
Now he gets a take sign.
He did hit a home run in the World Series last year, which I think was quite a shock.
Even to him.
He has never homered in a regular season game. Wow. Jurgens missed badly with that one. 2-2.
That was a changeup.
Blanton's regular season career batting average is .088. He's the only pitcher with a World Series home run. His regular season batting average is below 100. That is a double play. A line drive right to LaRoche, who doubles up Ruiz. Where was that take sign?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, seriously, I mean, it's after it happened, but you know, I think when you're in those situations and you're in a tight ball game, you're in a guy with a guy like Jurgens, you're not going to score many runs. You just do not want to waste any outs. So if he strikes out, bases loaded, Jimmy Rollins hitting, to me that would have been your best way of trying to score some runs.
It wasn't great base running by Ruiz either, and I know it was a hard hit ball, but you've got to freeze on the line drive in that situation and not get doubled up.
Jimmy Rollins, but into shallow right field goes Prado, and 1 pitch, the inning is over. They had the bases loaded, nobody out, and the fans are not happy about it. Brian McCann coming up in the 6th.
Strength and Engineering.
The Center City skyline in Philadelphia, home of the world champion Phillies. And the Phillies in first place in the National League East and trying to win this rubber match of a 3-game series against second place Atlanta. Joe Blanton starts off with a changeup and a swinging strike by Brian McCann. McCann is flied out to shallow right and to shallow right center. He is 0 for 2. A powerful left-handed batting catcher. And right to Utley, who's on the outfield grass, takes his time and throws him out. One away. Garrett Anderson coming up. Let's go to the studio to Dari Noka with the Sports Center right now. The Texas Rangers, the second place team in that wild card battle, lost to the Minnesota Twins, who have projected themselves right into the thick of the Central Division race now. As Garrett Anderson takes a ball too high, and it is 2-0 in the American League wild card. Red Sox by 3.5 over Texas. Tampa Bay has fallen to 5.5 out, and they play Boston this week. In fact, on Wednesday night.
Well, how about Tampa Bay trading Scott Kazmir, their young left-handed pitcher, to the Angels, and that certainly gives the impression of waving the white flag that you're not in it anymore this year. And I think they looked at the situation and said they've got a young guy that they have had some questions maybe about his health and his production, and now is the time to trade him when he's pitching well and get rid of $20+ million. But it sure seems like it means you don't think you can win.
Well, I was in L.A. a lot last week, and they wanted the Angels to get Paul Bird. That's one of the guys they wanted them to get. So they decided, hey, we have a chance to get Bird, but we're going to take Kazmir because he's a young pitcher, and they wanted him. And remember this, he beat Boston twice this year in Fenway Park already. So, and remember the last couple of years they have not been able to handle Boston in Fenway Park. So now they're taking a left-hander to do it.
Well, he's done well against both the Red Sox and Yankees.
Right.
While with the Rays.
And Rangers as well.
Coming up on Wednesday, a doubleheader on ESPN. First at 7 Eastern, Victor Martinez and the Red Sox up against Evan Longoria and the Rays. These are huge games for the Rays trying to catch the Sox. ESPN News will be shown in Boston and the Tampa St. Pete area. Then at 10 o'clock Eastern, presented by Smirnoff Ice, will be Mark Reynolds, 40 homers in the D-backs up against Manny and the Dodgers. ESPN News will be shown in both the Phoenix and the LA markets as well. So Garrett Anderson, after drawing the walk, is at first base. Joe Blanton has only allowed 3 hits in this game, but he has walked 4 now. Escobar is one of those that he walked earlier. Jimmy Rollins over to get it. To Utley for 1. To first. 2. A double play. Now the big hitters, starting with Victorino, then Utley, and then Ryan Howard. Velarde. The runners are going. The hit and run is on. And it's going to be a triple play. Out number 2 and out number 3. An unassisted triple play for Rafael Furcal. And that was part of our 20 seasons of Major League Baseball coverage. 2 unassisted triple plays seen right here on Sunday Night Baseball. And in the case of Randy Velarde's triple play, unassisted, it was the day after the historic Roger Clemens Pedro Martinez matchup at Yankee Stadium. The next day Oakland was in and Velarde got the unassisted triple play. I think it's been 15 times in Major League history, and Eric Bruntlett was the most recent to get one, and that was just last Sunday. He became the second ever to get an unassisted triple play to end a game, joining Johnny Noon. Victorino to right field to Diaz, and both Rollins and Victorino have been kept off the bases in front of Utley and Howard tonight.
Well, John, I'm going to show you 2 things. In the first at bat for Utley, he hit a fly ball to center field. And the reason is you're not ready for a guy's fastball maybe the first time up. See, first pitch is a changeup away. Now watch this fastball right in the middle of the plate, but he hits it to center field. He was late. See, he's late on it, and he hits it to center field. Now the next time up, changeup away, fastball. Look at that same pitch, and he hits it out of the ballpark because now he's more adjusted to seeing the guy's fastball, and you can get the barrel of the bat out there a little quicker.
So it's a 1-1 game, and here's Utley. First trip to the plate since that home run in the 4th, and it's ball 1 from Jair Jurgens. Ryan Howard is on deck.
So contrary to what people believe, if you miss in the middle of the plate, it doesn't always go out of the ballpark. As we saw to Utley, first time it didn't, but you missed there again, and it does go out of the ballpark. Well, so he's more accustomed to the speed of your fastball second time around.
You see the 93 miles per hour on that fastball there. Jurgens throughout most of the game has been 91 with that fastball, but when he needs it with runners in scoring position or against the middle of this lineup, he elevates that fastball and finds a couple more miles per hour.
I saw a statistic last week because I think I asked for it. What the guys hit against 93-mile-an-hour fastballs and above.
That is right to LaRoche at first base as he changed up on him, and it retires Utley. Out number 2, Ryan Howard coming up.
Let's take a look at Ryan Howard's first couple of at-bats in this game. And in the second inning, you see Jurgens go with a curveball in the dirt, but he slows him down a little bit. Then he beats him with that fastball up in the zone and ends up jamming Ryan Howard. Look how bottled up he is up at the top up there and just can't quite get the extension to be able to drive the ball. And his next time up starts with a changeup, and it doesn't change speeds, comes back to back with the changeup, and he's able to stay back on that ball, go right back up the middle, and rip it into right center field for a single. So that change of speed in the first at bat benefited Jurgens. He went back-to-back changeups, and Howard stayed on the pitch.
So here's Howard, 37 home runs, and he's been hitting them with amazing frequency here lately. 16 games, 11 homers, and 29 batted in 16 games. So he hadn't been hitting them with the bases empty a whole lot either.
That's the difference maker, though, John. That's the difference between the Phillies and everybody else in their division.
Check swing. Now Chipper was over at shortstop, so that's going to be a base hit. They had the big shift on for him, and Howard did not mean for that to happen.
Well, I mean, if you're Jurgens, you're not upset. Hey, I kept him in the ballpark. That's what he said before the game. He wanted to keep him in the ballpark. Well, he keeps him in again.
Yeah, fastball inside, Joe, and Howard looked like he's going to get tied up on it. Can't quite get to it, but the bat head drops down in the zone, and well placed right there. And look, when you don't have anybody playing on that side of the field right there, you've got a lot of room to leg out that infield hit. You said the Phillies had speed, right?
I remember as a kid going to Candlestick Park. Willie Mays is at first base with 2 down in the first inning of a game. Willie McCovey was at the plate, and a swinging strike on the slider by Jason Worth. They had the shift on from McCovey. Nobody at third base. McCovey bunted to third. It rolled past the bag and went down in left field, and Willie Mays scored from first on a bunt by Willie McCovey.
As only Willie could do.
Willie McCovey, 521 home runs, and his name comes up in conversation regarding Ryan Howard quite often. Big guys, left-handed hitters who hit a lot of home runs playing first base. But McCovey was a very good bunter and bunted for hits more than just every once in a while.
and the pitcher was happy when he did.
Although it cost him a run that particular day with Mays scoring from first on the bunt by McCovey.
Still, I'd take my chances with making Willie McCovey bunt.
Yep, exactly. They're happy.
You know, it was a pretty good bunter too. Was Mickey Mantle.
Yeah.
Tony Kubek, now in the Hall of Fame, is a broadcaster, and Tony said that Mantle would often bunt, especially when he was slumping. And they were playing him deep or in a shift for him, and he'd go ahead and lay down a bunt, figuring, well, hey, I'm not getting on base any other way.
Well, that's a smart play. If you're slumping and they give it to you, go ahead and take it.
And Marty Aronoff, you used to see Mickey come in and beat up on the old Washington Senators at Griffith Stadium, said Mickey would drag bunt when he was batting left-handed. Chipper Jones over to scoop it up, and he lobs it to Prado. Just barely made it for the force out on Howard, and we're going to the 7th inning. Adam LaRoche will be coming up. It's 1-1. Strike to Adam LaRoche, powerful left-handed hitter. By the way, when this game started, there was a lot of wind blowing, and for a while it was blowing in from center field, knocking balls down, hit in that vicinity. Right now, there's no wind to speak of. The wind's still blowing, but not with anywhere near the gusto we saw at the beginning of the game. And of course, this ballpark is a home run hitter's delight, especially when there's no impediments like a strong wind blowing straight in from center. There is none right now. And Adam LaRoche is a guy who hits home runs. Earlier we had winds gusting up to 20, 22 miles an hour.
This is the home run hitter's ballpark. Glenn Hubbard, the first base coach for the Braves, actually said that he and I might be able to hit 20 home runs each. I said, Glenn, you didn't see me play. He said, no, I'd tee it up for you a little bit, let you hit a few out of here. He was certainly not a home run hitter in his career, a little contact hitter.
2-2 to LaRoche, and he changed up. Strike 3. 6th strikeout. I'm John Miller with Hall of Famer Joe Morgan and Steve Phillips. We are in Philadelphia, the final Sunday in the month of August, and Sunday night baseball with the world champion Phillies. The Atlanta Braves second place behind the Phillies in the National League East in the rubber match of this 3-game series. The Braves badly needing a win if they're to have any prayer of making some kind of a comeback in September for the division. If they lose this game, they would be 8 games back of the Phillies, heading out of town and just about dead in the division discussion. are also in the wild card division. The Giants, who had a rousing weekend in San Francisco, sweeping the Colorado Rockies, have come roaring back into a tie with the Rockies. They left Denver last Monday 4 games back of the Rockies in the National League wild card, and by this afternoon they had tied the Rockies in the standings. And the Braves are in 3rd place in the wild card at the moment, 3 games back of both of them. And therein lies the problem for them. They got 2 teams ahead of them in that wild card. So one way or the other, this is a very big game for them. The team right behind them in the wild card, Florida, that's where they go next. They play in Miami starting tomorrow night.
John, we don't know who's going to get into the playoffs or whatever, but I wouldn't want to face the Giants.
That is to Rollins, who goes up to get it, and Gorecki, who puts the ball in play for the first time. He had struck out twice.
I wouldn't want to face the Giants in that first short series because you have Lincecum, Kane, Zito, Sanchez. I mean, I would not. That they can shut you down. I know their offense is suspect, but with that kind of firepower on the mound, they could be awfully tough in a short series.
John Hopark up in the Phillies bullpen. Jurgens with 2 down and nobody on. Jurgens has grounded out to 3rd and struck out. The Braves got a run in the first and a home run by Prado to left field. Utley tied the game with a line drive home run down the right field line in the 4th inning. Those have been the only runs of the game. The Phillies had a great opportunity in the 5th. Bases loaded. Nobody out, and Jurgens got out of it when Blanton hit into a line drive double play, and then Rollins on the very next pitch grounded out to 2nd. So a great opportunity that did not come to fruition for the Phillies. Still 1-1. There's that big curveball, strike 3 called. And perhaps the final pitch thrown for Blanton tonight. He'll be due up 4th here in the last of the 7th. Ibanez, one of the Phillies sluggers, coming up. It is 1-1. 7 strong from Blanton tonight. the historic Liberty Bell here in the city of brotherly love. Now, during the week, we've asked you to help us celebrate our 20th season of Major League Baseball on ESPN at the MLB page at ESPN.com by voting for your all-star shortstop during our 20th year. The nominees, Derek Jeter, Cal Ripken, and Ozzie Smith. And the winner, according to your votes, Derek Jeter. He won 40% of the vote. The Wizard got 31%. The Iron Man, 29%. That's pretty good company.
That's real good.
For Derek Jeter. Go to ESPN.com tomorrow, and you can start to tell us who you like for your all-star left fielder during our 20 years. Or is it right field? I got one thing says left field, the other says right field. Anyway, check it out at ESPN.com at the MLB page, and it will all be explained there. Joe Blanton, 111 pitches. He's due up fourth in this inning. The bullpen continues to work, so likely he has finished his night of work. Ibanez against Jurgens. Fastball is low.
Well, it's not Chan Ho anymore.
It's Ryan Madson, yeah. Madson, the setup man, most often in front of closer Brad Lidge. Fastball is fouled by Ibanez, who has grounded out to third and walked.
Now, Joe, we talked about the timing for Raul Ibanez, and for many hitters, when they sometimes chase a bad pitch, they tell themselves we have to wait a little bit longer, and they end up not getting that front foot down. And for Ibanez, he's got to get the front foot down on his stride in order to be able to catch up to that fastball, and he's just late or delayed in getting that foot down.
But again, I think it's because he's not seeing the ball quick enough. At least that's Charlie Manuel's thoughts, because he sees them every day. But he said he's not getting it down. He's not seeing the ball, so he's not reacting quick enough.
3-2. And he walks him again. Second trip to the plate in succession in which Jurgens has walked Ibanez, the slumping Ibanez, starting off an inning. And now Pedro Feliz will come up. Feliz, who singled his last time. Jurgens had only thrown 75 pitches in the first 6 innings of this game, and that's important. The Braves need him to go deep in the game tonight, and I think he's already given them most of what they needed, because Friday night the bullpen was pressed into heavy duty because of early rain. Pedro drops a bunt. Chipper Jones bare hands, and it's down the right field line. Ibanez to third, and he'll hold there. To second base, Pedro Feliz. Chipper Jones caught by surprise on that bunt by Pedro Feliz.
And it was a great bunt, John, because he didn't square around early and give it up, and then he got it down. If he fouls that pitch off, then you won't have the element of surprise anymore. So a good job there, and my thoughts were that they might bunt here because you're trying to win a ball game, and Jurgens is shutting you down. You might as well try to get one base hit with a runner on. Let's see, I thought this play was going to be made at first base by LaRoche, but you can see it's tailing into the runner, and that's why he wasn't able to make the play. See Jurgens put his hand over his mouth.
You know, Chipper Jones, as he came in to field that ground ball, he actually had his momentum moving toward the third base dugout. A lot of times you want to come around that ball and at least be able to get more on the throw and lead the throw down toward the right field line to let it tail back into the runner. And ball ended up leaking into the base runner and getting away from Prado.
Yeah, it was my fault. I said Roach, but it was Prado.
That ball is hit deep by Ruiz. Left field and not held. Garrett Anderson got the glove on it, could not hold it. 2 runs are going to score. Ruiz into second, and the Braves have fallen behind here, and they're having some hard times defensively in the inning. 3-1 Phillies. And a couple of the veterans here falter defensively.
Well, it all started with the walk. I mean, to Ibanez, who is not swinging the bat well. And I have to think after the error at first base, he made a mistake to Ruiz. And Anderson chasing it right in the tip of that long glove, but he can't hold it. And 2 runs come in to score.
Outstanding base running by Pedro Feliz, too, to be able to read that ball.
Now Matt Stairs, the pinch hitter for Joe Blanton.
Coming off first base, and you see, look at how far around. Look how close these two guys are together here. Pedro Feliz was around second base, knowing because Garrett Anderson was moving to the left field corner and he caught it, he'd be able to go back to second base, retouch, and get back to first, and not get doubled up. So outstanding base running for Feliz to score on that play.
Matt Stairs with that signature cut, the mighty cut, but he came up empty, and he has not had a hit. He's had a lot of coming up empty lately. 0 for 26. Runner at second, nobody out. And a fastball down and away. By the way, the official scorer on Feliz's bunt ruled a sacrifice and an error on Chipper Jones.
Right.
And on Ruiz's ball, a sacrifice fly and an RBI and an error on Garrett Anderson.
You can't do that.
And that is a straight call on the inside to Stairs.
Yeah, that's either a base hit or it's an error. I mean, first of all, it's not an error. You know, I mean, the guy gets it in the tip of his glove. He runs to the line and gets it in the tip of his glove. I don't see how you're going to give somebody an error on a ball like that.
I agree with you on that, Joe. That's a bad.
Yeah, it's a base hit. Yeah, it's bad scoring.
2-2 the count. On the other hand, if I'm Bobby Cox or Jair Jurgens, I feel like that ball should have been caught.
Well, there's a lot of balls that should have been caught during the year, John, that are go as base hits. Why are you going to take that one? Look at this. The guy's stretched out. How are you going to give him an error on a ball like that?
He ran as far as he could, reached as far as he could, and went right off the tip of his glove. It would have been an outstanding play if he made it. That's not an error. That's a double.
That's a double.
And Matt Stairs 0 for his last 27 now.
Watch how far Garrett Anderson has to go. That ball off Ruiz's bat. He's covering a lot of ground, going back to the wall on a full sprint and reaching out at full length. I don't see an error on that play at all.
That's not an error.
Tough scoring.
Even in the big leagues. That's just not right.
Well, I think Phillies should have gotten a hit on his bunt.
Well, it was a tough play.
You make the barehanded pickup.
Well, I can see that one more than I can see the other.
If he'd straightened up, if he'd straightened up and made sure of a strong throw, it would have been too late to get him.
I agree.
So it was already beyond the realm of ordinary effort.
But that definitely, I just can't see how you do that.
I can see how in both cases you might say, well, we should have gotten it out there. But at the same time, as you see that play, if it had been there accurately, it would have been there in time. But he's making an off balance across the body throw on the run.
But he wasn't as in a tougher position as Garrett Anderson was. I mean, he was completely stretched out after running, about 15 steps.
Jimmy Rollins to right field. Diaz makes the catch and holding on Ruiz at second base. Rollins is now 0 for 4. The Phillies lead here 3-1. They've put 2 runs across here, even though they have not had a hit in the inning. O'Flaherty, a left-hander, up in the Atlanta bullpen.
I'm not going to change my scorebook. I put down double and 2 RBIs. I think the league actually looks at these things, the next day to make sure of some of the scoring plays. Decisions, I should say.
Joe Blanton went 7, allowed 1 run, 3 hits, 7 strikeouts, 111 pitches, and he can win this game now. The Phillies bullpen can hold on to it for him. As Shane Victorino takes a called strike. Now, ordinarily, when things are really working well for the Phillies, as Matson continues to heat up for the 8th inning, what happens is Rollins and Victorino get on the bases a lot. They steal a couple of bases and score runs, create RBIs for Utley and Howard and Worth. There is Garrett Anderson with Escobar also going out, and that ends the inning. 2 runs, no hits, 2 errors. On to the 8th, top of the order for Atlanta.
Get the bottom line on your new Nissan. Nissan's bottom line model year and sales event ends August 31st. And One-A-Day Men's, the official multivitamin of MLB, specially formulated for men.
The Ben Franklin Bridge off of Philadelphia, connecting Philadelphia with New Jersey. Anybody here live in New Jersey?
No.
Anybody close to New Jersey?
No.
I'm John Miller. Steve Phillips, former general manager of the New York Mets, nowhere near New Jersey.
Too many Mets fans there.
And Hall of Famer Joe Morgan. And now the 8th inning. And Phillies fans certainly have a lot to cheer about these days. They've been in the postseason 2 years in a row. They won the whole thing last year. They have a big lead in their division this year. Team filled with stars. And Matson hits Matt Diaz, who had not reached base tonight, although he'd been red hot recently. That's the first time he's been on base in this game.
John, let's take a look at Joe Blanton. This is why he was successful tonight. Look at the target. He's hitting the target. Look at the good pitches everywhere. He's making the plays, making the throws, and all of a sudden you're getting all the calls from Lance Berkman, who's doing a good job right there on top of it. And here's Joe Blanton leaving, and he salutes the home plate umpire saying good job. I think more pitchers should do that if they think the guy did a good job. And obviously he thought that Lance Berkman did a good job.
So here is Prado. The big hitters are coming up for Atlanta. And this has been, I was starting to mention all of the great things that have gone on for the Phillies, but an area of serious concern has been their ability, or frequent inability, to hold a lead late in the game. And has mostly centered around the closer, Brad Lidge.
You know, I read an article Lidge interview that he'd given, and he said his problems are from the stretch, not so much from the windup, but when he gets into the stretch, that's where he's having problems. He's not able to come out of it properly.
Matson with a changeup for a strike to Prado. Prado has homered for Atlanta's only run, struck out and singled. That's Brad Lidge out of the bullpen. It's a 3-1 Phillies lead. Scott Air is the man warming up at the moment in the Phillies bullpen. The slider, did he swing? No, says first base umpire Marvin Hudson, very emphatically, as if he was upset they even asked him.
Well, I think Scott Air getting warmed up in case they get to Brian McCann and Garrett Anderson coming up here.
Chipper Jones on deck, and now the count is full, 3-2. So Prado, who's hitting over 300, had an excellent year. 306 average. Trying to get on base before the big hitters come up. Chipper Jones, Brian McCann, Garrett Anderson, Yunel Escobar. Base hit to left. So now decision time for Charlie Manuel. Get the left-hander. Air up in the bullpen. The switch hitting Chipper Jones, who's been struggling big time from the right side against lefties. And then two lefties after him, McCann and Anderson.
Well, Matson did not do well in the closer role in the late inning situation. When he took over for Lidge when he was on the disabled list, he had 6 blown saves.
The official scorer, by the way,
Told you I didn't change.
Upon further review, has ruled that Carlos Ruiz will be given credit for a 2-run double, no error charged to the left fielder Garrett Anderson.
Well, I told you I wasn't changing my book because I knew it was correct.
So Park back up, warming up in the bullpen, and getting the right-hander loosened up.
So they're staying with Matson right now. Air also continuing to throw, and there's a changeup missing to Chipper Jones, who has walked, struck out, and grounded out. Chipper with 4 hits in his last 46 at bats, but he has had some success against Matson in the past, including a home run in 9 previous at bats against him. 2 men on, nobody out. And that fastball, and he's waylaid on it again. 94 miles an hour.
We've seen that tonight, that fastball away. Now, we talked about Chipper Jones and the changeup, and how we saw him out front on the changeup earlier for Joe Blanton. And Matson, that's his put-away pitch, is the changeup to the left-handed hitter. But he's got to get himself an account to be able to make it effective.
Possible tying runs on base, nobody out. And he blew a fastball right by him.
Well, what happens when you're Chipper Jones and you feel like you may be a little slow, your bat speed, you start a little quicker. And anytime you start quicker, the changeup just eats you up. And it also the fastball, because you start quicker, you start moving toward the ball, and that makes the ball speed up.
All right, so is this a changeup now, 1-2?
Not sure. I thought it was fastball.
Changeup.
Yeah.
Bounce foul. You got a piece of it to stay alive.
When a guy's not getting around on your fastball, I think you do him a favor to slow it down a little bit right there. Chipper has not proven he could do anything on a fastball from 91 to 94, 95 miles per hour. So I almost think that Madsen does him a favor to go soft in this situation.
And when has anybody ever said that about Chipper Jones? That you should go after him with a fastball. He cannot catch up to it. Diaz at second, Prado at first. Nobody out. That's a base hit just under the glove of Howard. Coming around third is Diaz. Here comes Worth's throw. It's there, and he's safe. It's 3-2, and I was real surprised that Snitker, the third base coach, sent him with nobody out, but he knew what he was doing. Stopping at second, Prado, and Chipper Jones drives in the run. 3-2.
Well, Madsen came back with the changeup again to Chipper Jones, and he was out in front of it, but he's able to go out and just get on top of this ball and pull it through the zone to get enough on it. See Jason Worth coming up with a strong arm, but the throw takes it wide of home plate, and Ruiz has too far to go to be able to get back with the glove to make the tag. See the runner freeze a little bit to be able to get through at first base, and Prado holding up. Not getting through, but Diaz able to come around and score on the play.
And did Howard even, as you get a close look there at the plate, he was clearly in. Did Howard even get a glove on that just barely and slow that ball up a little bit that might have gone more quickly to Jason Worth? Here is Scott Air with two lefties coming up, McCann and Anderson. It's now 3-2 Phillies. Discussion here in Philadelphia about whether the Phillies can win it all again with Brad Lidge pitching with as many problems as he's had as their closer. Tonight, the problems have erupted before Lidge has had a chance to get into the game, and Scott Air comes on now. They hit Diaz with a pitch to start this rally. Then Prado got a base hit, and Chipper Jones got a base hit, and before he got that hit on that changeup, you guys had already sort of wondered why were you throwing him a changeup. And he followed up with changeup with another one, and Chipper got the base hit with it to knock in the run.
This whole game we see Chipper Jones struggling on that fastball, just not able to get around. A lot of foul balls down the left field line and not able to do anything with it. Starts him off with a changeup slow, then he comes fastball at 94. Chipper not able to get around. He beats him on a 95-mile-an-hour fastball, and then he slows it down a little bit and allows Chipper Jones to just be able to put the ball in play to at least advance the runner, finds a hole and picks up an RBI.
So here's Brian McCann, lefty versus lefty. Just off the outside with a fastball.
Well, they're bringing in the right guy because Scott Air has not given up a base hit in 27 at-bats with runners in scoring position.
McCann, though, 3 hits and 8 career at-bats against him. The curveball. 1 ball, 1 strike. Another lefty, Garrett Anderson, on deck. Anderson is 4 for 11 lifetime against Air, but there's the numbers you're talking about, Joe.
Yeah.
So he has been the man to see. If you're a manager who's got a lot of runners in scoring position, you want to keep there. Got him chasing that slider. 1 ball and 2 strikes. On the bases, Prado now at second, the possible tying run. Chipper Jones at first, the possible go-ahead run. Both bullpens are busy. As Air works against McCann. There is Chan Ho Park, a right-hander, back up in the Phillies bullpen. He had been up a little bit earlier. McCann 0 for 3 tonight. 1 ball and 2 strikes, the count to him. Utley's got it. There's 1. Rollins goes to third for the lead runner. Got him in a rundown. Tags him out. Now Chipper got a little, or rather McCann got a little too far afield at first, but he was able to get back. Jimmy Rollins with the unorthodox double play that for a split second looked like it might even end up being a triple play.
I have to tell you, that is a smart play by Jimmy Rollins, but you do not see that happen very often. This ball is hit like a shot right in front of Utley. Great pickup by Utley, and he gives it to Rollins, and Rollins does not want to move the tying run over to third base, so he takes it out, and that he ends up with the runner back at first base. Now the tying run's at first base instead of third base with 2 outs. So a great play there by Utley, first of all, to catch that ball, and a smart play by Rollins.
So the old second to short to third,
yeah,
double play. And McCann came way around first base, and right as Phillies was tagging out the lead runner Prado for the second out of the inning, there was McCann 35 feet or so off first base, and Phillies, by the time he was able to make that throw, it was just a little bit too late. The left-hander is Gonzalez, and in the foreground the right-hander is Soriano. But that was so big because Prado was the tying run, and he was going to go to third. It would have been a double play,
right?
But with a runner at third
instead of first. That's why I say it was such a smart play, because McCann sees what's going on. He gets him in a rundown. Now he decides he's going to try to get to second, but he's able to get back to first before Rollins could get the ball to Howard.
Garrett Anderson fouls 1 out of play. We mentioned Garrett 4 for 11 lifetime against Scott Air. But that's just, you don't see that play.
No, but the Phillies got lucky anyway, because that ball was hit like a shot. I mean, if it's not hit right at Utley, it's hit 3 feet left or right, that's a base hit.
And Utley, it was not an easy hop.
No, that's why I say he made a great play to catch it, and he was smart enough to give it to Rollins very quickly.
0-2 the count. And he fouls that high fastball away. The last time I saw a play even remotely like the one we just saw Rollins turn, it was the man who's won so many Gold Gloves, Omar Vizquel. But what Omar did was he got the ball at second for a force out, then wheeled and threw to third, and got a runner coming around third base who could not get back to the bag.
And look how hard this ball is hit, and it had some top spin on it. Rollins did not hesitate. He knew exactly what he wanted to do, because remember now, Diaz was frozen a little bit because it was a line drive, and he couldn't just take off because of the line drive. He was frozen a little bit at second base, and Rollins saw that, so he knew he had plenty of time to get him going over to third base.
1 ball and 2 strikes to Garrett Anderson, who has walked twice and popped up to third once. That is foul.
We talked about the balance of this Philadelphia Phillies roster with the starting pitching depth that they've gotten with Cliff Lee, with the power and the speed and the defense. It allows you to win any kind of game. It allows you to win the slugfest. It allows you to win the close, low-scoring game. Defense is the critical factor so far in this one-run game. The Phillies made the play when they needed to.
Howard playing behind McCann. Not on the bag with it. And a nice block by Ruiz. Ruiz having quite a night. Ruiz with 2 doubles and a single offensively. And he just made sure that McCann did not move up into scoring position here.
Well, sets up a good low target and shifts over on a ball that really takes a big hop, but keeps it in front and again keeps McCann at first base and out of scoring position.
2-2 the count. So we've seen the Phillies defense in action here in this inning. And Utley. And the inning is over. Wow. The Braves had everything set up beautifully. They had the men up there that they wanted to have up there. And then Jimmy Rollins makes a remarkable play. End of story. At MLBGoBeyond.com. So now we go to the last of the 8th inning. The Braves, who had a run home, who had runners at first and second, nobody out, and their cleanup hitter up. But even though the cleanup hitter, McCann, hit a double play ball, the runner at second was not even ever able to get to third base. McCann grounded into a double play and ended up at first base himself. Here is Chase Utley against the Braves' usual closer, Rafael Soriano. They've had no need for a closer for several days. So Soriano comes on here in the 8th inning with big left-handed power hitters coming up rather than the left-hander Gonzalez, who had been warming up. Utley in the shallow center. Yunel Escobar directly right behind him, but Escobar takes it. And Utley is now 1 for 4. His one hit, though, he made count, a home run back in the 4th that tied the game. Both of the runs in the 7th inning against Jurgens end up being earned runs as a result of the, well, one of the runs is earned because of the official score's change of the call on the error to Anderson and changing it rightfully, we thought, to a double for Carlos Ruiz and 2 RBIs. So 1 earned, 1 unearned run. 3 runs, 2 earned runs in 7 innings to Jurgens' record. And here is Ryan Howard. And again, they've got the shift on for him with the second baseman well out in right field. Nobody anywhere close to third base. And Howard, on a check swing, got a base hit to that wide open spot his last time, and is 2 for 3 in the game. The Phillies bullpen, the closer, Brad Lidge, is getting ready for the 9th. And the slider is in the dirt. There's Lidge. Last year, he had every save that they asked him to get. He never failed, not even one time, not in the regular season, not in the postseason. This year has been another story. Well, he's staying with that hard slider, and Howard is not coming that close to making contact with it. 1-2.
Brad Lidge with a 7.17 earned run average this year, the worst of all major league relievers. 9 blown saves, the most of any major league closer.
But he does have 26.
He does.
Another slider, and that's just off the outside apparently. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Howard.
His velocity's down a little bit this year. Talking to Charlie Manuel, what he said is that he's a thinker and a trier. And when you start going wrong, you start squeezing the pitch, and you end up kind of getting a stiff forearm, and you don't get the life on your fastball you normally have. He hasn't had the command of his slider like he's had a year ago.
The problem with relievers is confidence. All of them, not just Lidge. If you get knocked around a little bit, your confidence level drops, and you're only going to get a shot every once in a while to get some rhythm.
Another slider. I don't think he threw him anything other than a slider that entire at bat, and finally he strikes out Ryan Howard.
I've seen a lot of guys do that, throw him a lot of breaking balls. Johnny, we come here, you and I have been coming here for 20 years, and all of a sudden we come and Harry Callis is not here, who's a very close friend of ours, and they have a restaurant out there for Harry, and the team still remembers him, and I just wanted us to remember him today because he's one of the truly great broadcasters and truly great guys that I've ever been associated with in baseball.
Joe Morgan and Harry Callis
started together,
began their careers in the big leagues in Houston.
Yeah.
1965. Harry came there from Hawaii.
And every game there, those white shoes he used to wear, the jacket. I mean, that's Harry Callis right there. That's the way he used to dress.
Jason Worth with a foul ball back to the screen. 0-2 the count. One of the great voices of the game, Harry Callis, inducted into baseball's Hall of Fame as a winner of the Ford C. Frick Award, and one of the very best of the long list of outstanding voices of the game.
You see that smile on his face, John? It belies the fact that his nickname was the Vicious Thing.
Harry would come into the booth whenever we were here, looking for you, and he'd say,
there it is.
"Where's the sweet pea?"
Well, we all had nicknames in the Houston days. Jimmy Wynn was the toy cannon, Harry Callis the Vicious Thing, and I was the sweet pea.
That slider into left center field. That goes through. Gorecki retrieves it. It's a double for Jason Worth, his first hit of the night. Joe come in the booth, and there'd be Harry, and he'd say, "Hey, there's the Vicious Thing." And Harry turned around and say, "Hey, sweet pea." Meanwhile, we're going to go to the studio. Here's Dari Noka with the Sports Center right now. Big day for Edgar Renteria. They were down 5-2 in that game, and Edgar had a grand slam. Had 5 RBIs for the Giants. Jets, it's only the second time this year that they came from a deficit of 3 runs or more and won the game. Offense has not been their stock in trade. They're coming here. The Phillies' next game is Tuesday, and those Giants will be right here. They're walking Ibanez intentionally with the right-handed hitting Phillies coming up.
John Rafael Soriano had retired 31 consecutive right-handed batters before he gave up the base hit there to Worth. Wow. So that shows you why they want to bring up a right-hander here to pitch to it.
So 2 men on, 2 men out. The Phillies coming up. MLB.TV, the ultimate baseball experience, featuring 100 out-of-market games per week live on your computer. For more details, visit MLB.tv, where baseball is always on. MLB.tv. Pedro Feliz is flied out, singled, and then in the 7th inning, with a runner at first, nobody out in a tie game, he dropped down a bunt. He got credit for his sacrifice. Chipper Jones tried the barehanded pickup and off-balance throw to first, and his throw was a little bit offline and ended up going on by. And that is how they started that 2-run rally in earnest.
But John, you also mentioned the fact he was great in that double play that they turned Rawlings to third base because he was in the proper position.
I think that was huge. In fact, I mentioned Omar Vizquel with a similar kind of a play, not the same play, but a similar play. And Feliz was the third baseman for the Giants at that time. And so Pedro has seen that kind of a play before, but he was right there in the bag, and Rollins had to know that because he just wheeled and threw. He didn't wait to find out if he was over there. Strike 3 called on the outside corner at the knees. 2 men stranded. And so Brad Lidge looking for the save. Yunel Escobar, Adam LaRoche. The first 2 due up. Home for them. He has done so 26 times this year. On the other hand, he has 9 blown saves. The Phillies have had 7 games this year where they led going to the 9th inning and lost. More than any other team has given up with a lead in the 9th inning in all of Major League Baseball. Lidge had 5 of those 7 where he took the loss. Phillies in the 9th inning have allowed 19 home runs this year, most in Major League Baseball, and 60 runs in the 9th innings of games, second most in not just the National League but all of Major League Baseball. So here is Lidge, and a tough hitter to lead off against him, Yunel Escobar. Ooh, that was the great slider. 0-1.
Well, the great location as well, John. It looks like a fastball, then it just dives for the outside corner.
Of course, the save rule can at times be controversial because really the game needed saving when Scott Air came in the 8th inning. 2 men on. It was a 3-2 game. The biggest hitters were up, and Scott Air got him through it.
Well, he gets a hold.
We'll create new stats to make it work.
And that slider outside, 2-1 to Escobar. Now, one of Lidge's blown saves was 2 weeks ago in Atlanta. And in that game, he was his own worst enemy. He made 2 errors on a bunt. And that was the beginning of the end for him in that game.
Well, he threw the first ball over the top almost. And the next ones he dropped down and he missed badly.
Fastball. And they've got this one surrounded. That is Worth. 1 away.
Take a look at the Ford K zone on that last pitch to Utley Escobar. He had thrown him some sliders, but then comes up with a fastball up in the zone at 96 miles per hour. It changed the hitter's eye level. Escobar was looking at that slider out of the zone and down, and hits a fastball up and pops it up.
Now, Lidge got the save here on Friday night in game 1 of the series. He retired the side in order in the 9th inning.
10 pitches.
10 pitches and out. 3 up, 3 down. Here is Adam LaRoche. He's popped to second, singled and struck out. 1 ball and no strikes.
On his last blown save, it was on his 4th consecutive day he was called upon to work. And you know, when you've got a guy who's blowing some saves, you're trying to rebuild his confidence. I'm not sure sending him out 4 days in a row is the way to go. You're setting him up to fail because he's fatigued at that point. He's not going out there with his best stuff.
That one is slammed, fouled on the right field line.
I think that part of what you're doing right now with Brad Lidge is you're working on his stuff because his stuff's not quite the same. His command's not the same. His fastball this year is getting pounded for a 386 opponent's batting average. Last year 270, but it's also his head. And Joe, you talked about it's confidence for him. You've got to rebuild in baby steps, and 4 days in a row when you're fatigued is not the way to do it.
Right center field. Victorino on the track, waiting for it. 2 down. And now a pinch hitter for Atlanta. It will be Greg Norton, a switch hitter who will bat left-handed to bat for Reed Gorecki. Last chance for the Braves. Atlanta 1 out away from leaving town 8 games back of the Phillies and in a second-place tie with Florida in the National League East. Strike on the outside of the fastball. Everybody's standing at Citizens Bank Park. The Phillies 1 out away from another series win. Up and away, 1 ball and 1 strike. Remember, the Giants beat the Rockies today. Atlanta 3 games out on the wild card at the moment. With a loss, they would be 3.5 out. Fastball, strike 2 call.
And this is when Lidge is at his best, John. He throws that fastball, he gets ahead. They haven't seen that slider, and all of a sudden it's hard to lay off of. He doesn't have to throw a strike with the slider anymore now.
Ooh,
right there.
Just got a piece of that slider.
And even if he'd have bounced that, I think he would have swung at it. So I think, you know, it gives him more margin for error when he does use that fastball. When he uses his fastball and you haven't seen the slider, you're at his mercy.
Omar Infante, a right-handed hitter, is out on deck with a pitcher due next. 2 down. Slider. Did he swing? Yes, he did.
You're going to swing at it all the time.
Tagged out by Ruiz. The ball game is over. And Brad Lidge with his second 1-2-3 9th inning save. This one in a 1-run game, no less, of the weekend.
Well, I'll tell you what, they need Lidge if they're going to continue to win.